Good morning, everybody. What is today? Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. 5:43 a.m. here on the West Coast. Hope everybody's day is off to a good start. I know the East Coast has been at it for a while, and I know it's like probably already the weekend in Australia. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Got my coffee, I got my baby monitor, got my notes. Today's story is a story about sprinting. Yesterday was 10 by 100 meter repeats on good old Linchpin, and the hamstrings are very aware of it right now. And a while ago, I defined, in my personal opinion anyway, what I consider a good day in the gym. And if you didn't hear that episode or listen to it or watch it, it is episode 146 of Linchpin Conversations, and I think it would be beneficial to listen to that because it is important to define what a good day in the gym is. And so my goal for today is to define a good day of sprinting. Ooh, Robbie. I see Robbie posted that he switched it to 6 by 200 meters. Interesting, Robbie. And I think you're potentially talking about where I'm going. So we might be in alignment very nicely on this one already. So let's define a good day sprinting. And just for sprints in general, whenever these come up and that pesky phrase at the bottom says rest as needed, and most CrossFitters are like, dang it, tell me precisely what to do. I don't want to have to do a little research on this one. What do you mean rest as needed? What does that mean? Understandable. I was there as well. But if you listen to Linchpin Conversations number 140, that is all about demystifying that little rest as needed phrase. And it's all about rest periods during interval-based training, referencing an old CrossFit Journal article. So I think, again, that will be very helpful for people as well. That's episode 140. Okay. Let's talk about defining a good sprint day and just some sprinting stuff in general. So yesterday, 10 by 100 meter sprints. Basically, 10 just sticks of dynamite, quite frankly. And somebody takes those sticks of dynamite and just tapes them to your hamstrings and then lights a fuse. And you don't know the length of the fuse and you don't know when it's going to detonate. That's basically a 10 by 100 meter sprint day. We all hope that we just survive. These days are potent, and that is an understatement. But as much as they are potent and clearly to be respected, they're equally beneficial, astonishingly beneficial, or we wouldn't program them. And they should be cherished for as long as possible. You know, sadly, there may come a day in all of our lives where we don't sprint anymore. Probably be lying if I said that wasn't true. But I can't speak for you, but my goal is going to be to extend that runway for as long as I possibly can, because I understand how astonishingly important the sprint days are and critical to overall athletic development. And your hamstrings, if you're unfamiliar with when you first see a 10 by 100 meter sprint day, and most people are like, that's it? What is that, the warm-up? Where's the real workout? Don't you know I need a barbell to improve my athletic capacity? And then somebody actually does the 10 by 100 meter sprint. And the next day they're like, what is this feeling in my hamstrings? I feel like I did heavy back squats or heavy deadlifts, but I accomplished this feeling with no loading whatsoever. That's confusing. Yes. And that also, that feeling that occurs in your hamstrings and backside right there that you're not used to, we can capture that under the broad category of variance. And anyone who's been listening to this channel for a while probably understands that variance is astonishingly mission critical to your overall development as an athlete and to your GPP. So we want it. We want these days, and these days are easy to avoid, and so we're getting after it. I see Cat B. Fraser says hamstrings and abs are on fire. Yes, actually, you're right. I forgot. The abdominal soreness that can occur just from stabilizing your midline against a maximum effort sprint is also confusing to somebody that hasn't sprinted in a while. Your hamstrings feel unusual and you're like, why are my abs so sore? All I did was quote unquote run. Yes. And what do all of these things, this might be an oversimplification, right? But what do all of these things mean if they hit you in all these unusual ways? It means you are hitting your body in a way that it's not used to, that it's not accustomed to. And the least, or the less I should say, that you are accustomed to it, right? Potentially maybe if you avoid these days a lot, you are elevating yourself on the risk tree of having one of those sticks of dynamite go off on your hamstring. But through not avoiding them, through repeated exposure, through a crawl, walk, run approach, you can condition yourself and get used to these days, tolerate them a lot better, and still reap all the benefits. And so that is what I would highly encourage everybody to do. Okay, so let's see. Now let me just say for the record, I'm over 40 years old. I respect a 10 by 100 meter sprint day. I respect it, okay? Very much so, because I know it will jump up and bite me if I do not respect it. At any age, okay? But as the decades tick by, your respect level for it better increase in a linear fashion with it. Melanie, sprint days are the best days, yes. And in my 16 plus or however long it's been years of CrossFit, I have tweaked my hamstring twice in 16 years. That's not a bad record, right? And both of them were on 10 by 100 meter sprint days. And on both of those days, it was my fault. It was not the individual's fault who created the 10 by 100 meter workout. It was my rushing through the warm-up, my thinking that the rules didn't apply to me. I'm special and unique. I can just do this. I work out all the time. I don't, got a busy schedule today. Let's knock out these 100 meter sprints. I'll use the first two as a warm-up. I'll be good to go by the third. All of those things are lies. And I paid for it twice in my hamstrings. Luckily, on both of those times, I didn't tear my hamstring. I didn't pull my hamstring, but I had that feeling where somewhere mid-sprint, it just feels like one of your hamstrings just completely balled up and knotted up in a severe cramp and knot that basically told me, if you try to do anything else today, we will tear or pull or something worse. And so I stopped immediately, hopped away, hopped myself back to warmth and security of my home, and treated my hamstring very gingerly for the next week or so, and then it slowly went away. So I've had that happen twice, and again, both my fault, but I absolutely respect them. So here's more getting into how I do sprints these days, and this is all again wrapped up into what I consider a good sprint day. So hopefully everybody understands, for as long as I've been doing CrossFit in the various roles and capacities that I've held, that I understand that data is important. I understand measurement is important. I understand timing things are important. And with that being said, I no longer time my 10 by 100 meter sprint days. Couldn't tell you the last 5 that I did. I don't run a clock. And that's done intentionally. Because if I run a clock, I'm a human being. I might have some, even though I know better, I might have some little, angel on one shoulder, devil on the other shoulder telling me, if you really get after it for these last few, you might be able to PR today. And that means something on Instagram, so get after it. And that would be a grave mistake. The benefit for me comes from just the exertion, the effort, the running at a speed that I don't normally run. The time on the actual clock for each time that I cross the finish line at the 100 meters is far less important at this stage in the game for me than the effort and the variance. And so I know for me personally that I'm going to have much happier, healthier, and longer sprint days for many more years in my life if I don't time my 10 by 100 meter repeats. And so I don't time them. So I've got no idea how fast they are. I would say they're somewhere between Usain Bolt and a North American box turtle. Somewhere between those two categories, I cross the finish line, and it's all good. For me, they're fast. So, and then I run across the finish line, and then I just walk myself back to the start line. That walk back is a casual walk, probably takes about 75 seconds to walk back to the finish line, even though it's only 100 yards, 100 meters. And then I walk a bit further. I walk past it, I walk back. So by the time I start the next sprint, I've probably rested anywhere from 90 seconds to 120 seconds worth of rest. And I try not to get any less than that. I like a couple minutes worth of rest. And then each sprint, I'm going to put those in air quotes, each sprint that I do is modulated, for lack of a better way to say it. I feel like with every single step that I'm doing, I have my brain intimately engaged to my hamstrings, just kind of testing them out, feeling them out, listening to them, for lack of a better way to say it. And I could push the pace a little more or throttle it back a little bit. I'll allow myself to modulate even during the 100 meters, just based upon whatever feedback I'm getting from my hamstrings. So I want to keep them in that. Yes, we're working, comfortably hard. And if it gets into that little area where I'm like, oh, I think I'm going a bit too much there, it's not worth it, I throttle back a little bit, and then I can clearly tell if I'm not going hard enough. So I just keep it in that nice sweet spot, and that little sweet spot might vary on every single one of those 100-meter runs, and that's okay. I'm totally good with it. My hamstrings talk, I listen, and I respond. So for me, I'm running fast. I'm not going 100%, that's for darn sure. That likely would not end well for me or my hamstrings. So I run fast relative to me, but not 100%. And the key thing, and I've said this before, is when I say I'm running fast, I think about what I do most of the time, and I think about, again, variance. So when we run, usually in workouts, it's a mixed modality sort of a day. It's something like Helen, for example, 3 rounds per time, 400-meter run, kettlebell swings and pull-ups. Well, with all of that jammed together, right from the run, right to the kettlebell swings, right to the pull-up bar, right to the next run, doing that 3 times in a row with no rest, just physiologically speaking, that's going to be a slower pace on the run, just by necessity of the demands of all the other components of the workout. It's not going to be a jog, although it might be a jog, but it's nowhere near a sprint pace, right? And that's where a lot of our workouts fall. So then, for variance, we want to just give the sprint days the respect that they deserve, kind of like on heavy days, we give them the respect that we deserve, right? If you've got a workout with a 21-15-9, 2 1/4 deadlift, and 2 other things that you're doing, toes to bar and box jumps, yes, you're deadlifting, and that's fantastic, but then you also do a 7x1 deadlift day, because even though you deadlift in a mixed modality day, you're going to get that top end strength in a very different and much more effective way on a 7x1 day, and that will be beneficial to the other deadlift workouts that you do. Same with sprinting. We're going to take it out of the workouts, out of something like Helen, and just respect it like we would respect a heavy day. Give it rest, give it a proper warm-up, and that will allow us to increase the speed, increase the intensity, and that will transfer benefits to everything else that we do. And so now for me, again, it just depends upon where you are in your fitness journey. Are you in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or whatever? That helps define what fast is for you, what speed is for you. And when I do these days, these 10x100 meter repeat days, my goal is just, if I'm running faster than I do during any normal mixed modality workout, well, right there I'm doing something different. Right there I'm exposing myself to variance because I'm hitting a different speed that I don't normally do. That's beneficial. Now, let's just say that and on a 10x100 meter day, I'm of course running faster than Helen, but I'm also running faster on a 10x100 meter sprint day than I would on a 3x800 meter sprint day. That should be rather obvious to everybody, right? And my hundreds are also going to be faster than they would on a 6 by 400 meter repeat day. That should also make sense to everybody. And they're going to be faster than they would be on an 8 by 200 meter repeat day. Now, everybody can play some game, I think, and find what works for them. Okay? And here's what I mean by that. First, I'll define what I think a good sprint day is, and then I'll help maybe define it for, anyone individually out there. So for me, a good sprint day is a proper warm-up. That's as long as it takes. And I might do the full warm-up, and then I might do some, like I did yesterday for my 100-meter dashes, I might do some 40s. I might do 5 or 6 of those, just slowly going from 40% to 50% to 60% to 70%, and really paying attention to my hamstrings and saying, okay, yeah, I feel okay. We can do the first 100-meter dash now. And then I'll sprint at whatever pace makes sense. Like I said, I'll modulate that. Cool down, stretch, go home. That's a good sprint day to me. So notice one of the words that I didn't have in there that is not mission critical to me having a good sprint day. I did not say PR. I do not need to PR to have a good sprint day. I don't care whether or not I PR on a sprint day. I care that I found a way to sprint. That's the important thing. And again, it's very much related to heavy days. We've said this before, which is, at a certain phase in your life, you're just the leaderboard reigns supreme, want to be the big dog in the gym, and like, you look at the back squat I'm doing, it's incredible. Gotcha, we've all been there. And it's great if you're still there. Nothing against it. Like, it truly is great. But at some phase in your life, how much you squat is irrelevant. What matters is that you are still squatting, right? So if you're 65 years old and you're back squatting, I don't care if it's 95 pounds in the bar. I don't care if it's an empty barbell. If you're 65 years old and you're squatting, you win. You get the gold medal. You win. You're astonishing, and that's kind of the goal. And I play that game in my head with sprinting as well. Let's see. Lost my place here. Okay, now let's be real. Okay, there are some people out there that they're at that phase, or they've got something going on. Everyone's body's a little bit different, and they're not going to do a 10 by 100 meter sprint. That's okay. I accept that. That's true. That's reality. We're not all the same. So let's talk about what could happen to be beneficial to those individuals. I'm sorry that I'm sipping my coffee during this conversation, but it's 6 in the morning. Okay, so let's see. If a 10 by 100 meter dash is not going to happen, what else is possible? And the issue, if somebody is looking to avoid the 10 by 100 meter sprint, is that speed kills, right? That's what gets the hamstrings so dosed up. That speed is also what's so beneficial about it, right? Why it feels like you did a heavy deadlift or back squat day. It's the speed. But let's think about what we can do if somebody's just not going to do that. Now stick with me on this. 10 by 100 meter dash is so potent because you can run so fast, because the distance is short. So just physiologically speaking, as the distance increases, by necessity, your speed will decrease, which is why the pace that you can run for a 5K is significantly slower than the pace you can do a single 100-meter dash, right? Distance increases, speed decreases. That's also why whatever pace you hold on a 3 by 800 meter day is significantly different than the pace you would hold on a 10 by 100 meter dash day. So if a 10 by 100 is too potent for you, you could play some game through experimentation as to what is the shortest distance that works for you. Because you still would ideally like to get in a short sprint. We would still like you to express as much speed and intensity as you can, but in that window that you have found is appropriately challenging for your hamstrings. So if a 10 by 100 meter dash day is no good, what if you increase the distance by 25%? That may not sound like a lot, but you're absolutely going to run slower. That's just physiology. So maybe an 8 by 125 meters is the sweet spot for you. Maybe not. Maybe it's 8 by 150 meters That's the sweet spot for you. You see this game that we're playing, 8 by 175 meters, till you eventually get to, another classic sprint workout, 8 by 200 meter repeats. So wherever that is for you, I would encourage you to find that sweet spot. And as we've said before, you're always authorized to make the best decision for you. So yeah, it was a 10 by 100 meter sprint day, and you know in your head that we also do an 8 by 200 meter day. If an 8 by 200 meter day makes more sense for you, then just swap it out. The heck with the 10 by 100 meter. You should do an 8 by 200 meter and you'll be good to go. Or maybe you do a Frankenstein workout and just put it into BTWB and you did 8 by 150 meter dash. Totally good to go. Completely and utterly good to go. Fitness will be achieved. I promise you that. And then the other, maybe just final thing that we'll close on is, let's just say you are at whatever phase, position in life that just a straight out sprinting, it ain't going to happen. You're going to be on the bike or rower. No worries. If that has to be the case, I would personally say the air bike works better than the rower, just because most people can spin that thing up a lot faster than they can the rower. And so if you're doing something really short to try to replicate like a 10 by 100 meter dash, the air bike is probably going to be a better choice than the rower. And you could do a distance if you wanted to, or what's really effective is just going by time. So let's say that, most people were going to do a 100 meter dash in anywhere from 15 to 20 seconds. Let's just say that. So you split the difference, let's say you call it 18 seconds. You're going to hop on the air bike, and for 18 seconds, you are going to pedal like the devil is chasing you, as fast and furious as you can. And then you're going to rest 2 minutes, you're going to do it again. Rest 2 minutes and do it again. Is it exactly the same as a 10 by 100 meter sprint, a foot sprint? No, it is not. Is it close enough to be super beneficial? Yes, it is. And so wherever you are, you can probably find something to make that work. And so that would be my recommendation. And I got a cool story here. We'll chat again about the upcoming Linchpin Challenge, test number 1. But here's a really cool story that was posted in our private Facebook group specifically about sprinting. So maybe this will help fire everybody up and give some motivation out there. This is from Levi A. And Levi trains with his father, who I believe is 65. Yes, so Levi trains with his 65-year-old father every now and then. First of all, goals, right? How cool is that? But let's say 10 by 100 meter dash. This is what Levi wrote. I want to be clear. Getting better at it, aka sprinting or running, doesn't make it any less stupid. So I should give some backstory. God bless the Linchpin community. Every time we post a running workout, they will warmly do it, but then post, I did it, but just so we all agree, running is stupid. And so it cracks me up every time. So it's kind of a running joke of the hashtag running is stupid. So Levi says, I want to be clear. Getting better at it doesn't make it any less stupid. That being said, I'm super happy with these times. I've cut my rest time from just over 4 minutes when I first joined Linchpin to now 2 minutes between efforts. So he has reduced his rest time between these 100-meter sprints by over 50%. And he's still holding 16 seconds per effort. So if you have cut your rest time in half and you're holding the same effort, that's a significant improvement. So well done. And here we go. Here's the cool part. His father, at 65 years old, also did the 10 by 100 meter sprints, and he averaged 23 seconds per 100 meter sprint, holding 2 minutes rest between each. Let me go ahead and say that again. Levi's dad, at 65 years old, did the 10 by 100 meter dash and held 23 seconds per interval with 2 minutes rest between each. Levi's dad is a beast. That's the goal. That's where we're going. You want to be just a ferocious animal of fitness? find some smart and intelligent way to do meaningful, functional movements to the best of your ability for as long as you can, and again, with the highest relative intensity possible. Be smart, be safe, and enjoy a very long, healthy life. So that's the goal. So Levi, that was super cool that you posted that. All right, finally, our monthly Linchpin Challenge is coming up before I even realize it. It's the 13th right now. Linchpin Test 1, that challenge will most likely happen, I believe it's September 23rd through the 26th, which is a Friday through Monday. Test 1 is, and when I say the word Fran now, it's Fran, 2159 thrusters and pull-ups, but the barbell is 75 pounds for the men, 55 for women. Test 1 is 400-meter run, Fran. 400-meter run, Fran. And a final 400-meter run. It is just an absolute blast. We're going to have t-shirts and tank tops again, and I am in the process of trying to create one new piece of swag for this challenge in case anyone's interested in it. It's being created at this moment, if you will, and getting shipped to my house. And so as soon as it does get shipped to my house, I will show it in a video. Hopefully it comes out how I wanted it to, and it's cool. And that's that. And other than that, Rogue Invitational. I'll be working at the Rogue Invitational, but I will also have free time. And so if any members of the worldwide Linchpin community will be at the Rogue Invitational down there in Round Rock, Texas, end of October, I'll see you there. Let's get some coffee. Let's have some conversation. Maybe get in some fitness. That would be cool. I think there'll be some workout areas there at the venue, and so life will be great. I see somebody talking about Linchpin Test number 1. Time cap 1 hour. No time cap. But yes, it can take a bit. So, I see somebody says see you there. So I will see you at the Rogue Invitational. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and we'll talk later. Enjoy the sprinting.